White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said there are no plans to send President Joe Biden to Ukraine following some speculation that a senior U.S. official may visit the European country after trips by other world leaders, and one day after Mr. Biden himself said that he was personally ready to go.
Will you send officials to Ukraine? Will you send senior officials to Ukraine?
Well, we're making that decision now. Thank you.
Who would you send?
What was the reason? Are you ready to go? Yeah.
So he says he's ready to go. In the meantime, a Russian state TV host said the reason Putin's special operation in Ukraine is taking so long is because the country has entered World War III against NATO. Those comments come as Russia has sent a formal diplomatic note to the Biden administration warning the U.S. against further arming Ukraine. Joining us now, former White House advisor under the Trump administration and host of America First, Sebastian Gorka. Sebastian, thank you for joining us. What's your response to what you're hearing come out of Putin with all this right now, kind of threatening the U.S.? What's your response?
He's a cornered dog. This is a disaster. He expected this to be over in a couple of days, Bob, but it's not. We've seen a nation that is ranked with the second most powerful army in the world that has 5,000 nuclear weapons go up against the Ukrainians that were ranked 22nd in the world's armed forces. And the Ukrainians are winning. It is absolutely incredible. This is their 1776. An operation which should have lasted just a couple of days, knock out Kiev, put a puppet regime in place of Vladimir Zelensky, has failed. If you look at the combat fatalities, between 10 and 15,000 Russians have been killed. That's the same toll of damage. That's the same number killed in action after 10 years of fighting for the Russians in Afghanistan, with the house arrest of two of the top intelligence officers in Russia. Putin has finally admitted that he has sorely miscalculated, and the brave Ukrainians are fighting till the last man, and they will not give up, Bob.
You know, it seems as though Putin suffered an embarrassment with the ship that was sunk by a missile. Does that make you concerned that in order to save face, he might do something extreme?
Not out of the question. If you look at the evolution of strategy in the Soviet Union and then the collapse into the Russian Federation, during the Cold War, nuclear weapons were under the control of the party, the Communist Party, very tight control. The Politburo in Moscow had the reins for nuclear weapons. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, with the dissolution of the Communist Party, nuclear weapons control is no longer politically vested. It is actually controlled by the army. And in 2012, Russia held an exercise with regards to Poland and Belarus, in which the Russians used tactical nukes at the end of that tabletop exercise. So nothing is out of the question. Right now, the real issue is, are there people around Putin, especially in the army, who've had enough and wish to have some kind of regime change, as we saw with Yeltsin and with the attempted coup against Gorbachev? So are there any sane people left in Moscow who don't want to see body bags of conscripts being flown home from Ukraine, as was the case during their Afghan escapade? So Putin is a killer. He's a former KGB colonel. He's ruthless. He's a murderer. The question is, how long will the Russians put up with him?
Well, that's a good question, because I've seen polls that say that 4 out of 5 Russians support what's going on against Ukraine. Of course, that's assuming that's a legit poll, which we know could just be a complete lie coming out of Russia. But is there the political strength and support for people who oppose Putin to actually take action against him?
Well, we've seen some very, very brave demonstrations by average Russians in the last 6 weeks. Brutal police tactics used against them, including the arrest of children as young as 12 years old. So there's no organized capacity to resist with the attack against Navalny, with the imprisonment of Khodorkovsky. The challenges politically to Putin were neutralized. the only way that we see a positive scenario inside the Kremlin is if there's a palace coup, if there are people around him, serious individuals, patriots, individuals who are in the power structures who say, okay, we've had enough of this guy. We can't go into urban combat in Kiev, in Mariupol. That's just a disaster. We have to remove him ourselves and have a palace putsch. I don't see any other scenario because Putin has either intimidated, imprisoned, or killed any political actor that's tried to resist him for the last 21 years.
Right. Well, I appreciate you talking about the internal politics there, because it's something that often gets lost in this conversation, which is what our hope is, of course, is that somebody like you saying, who isn't somebody, hopefully somebody sane can take steps against him. Sebastian Gorka, thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you. God bless. Happy Easter.
All right. Happy Easter to you as well.